All right, sweet. Okay, everyone. Welcome to our reaction breakdown video for The Boys season 4, episode 6. This time the episode is titled what is it? Dirty Business.
Dirty Business.
Dirty Business. So we're the Winter Hill Warriors. I'm Chenny Britt, joined by my boy Damon. You know what we
Yep.
do. Gonna do a quick recap. I'll do the run through play by play. Damon's gonna give breakdown analysis of the scenes. Damon had a theory in the last stream that actually came true this time around, so he called his shot. So if you've been tuning in, then you already know. If you're watching this on replay, you'll know as well. It involves Butcher and Kessler. But without further ado, we're gonna run through this thing. We open up the episode back with Butcher, Kessler, and Samir. And Samir's in a lot of pain because he got his leg chopped off. And the plan that they have is they're gonna make Samir create another copy of the virus, and it's got to be very difficult to make another copy of the virus while your leg is off and you're in serious pain. But these guys don't really negotiate with terrorists, so they're like, you got to do it. And Samir wants to keep Zoe and Victoria safe, but it doesn't really matter because they're gonna strong arm him into doing what they need him to do. So that starts like that. Then we see at this point they've euthanized fucking Huey's dad. So it's Huey and his mom Daphne. They're sprinkling his ashes throughout New York City. It's on a tour for what is it? Made in Manhattan, Damon.
Made in Manhattan, famed J-Lo rom-com.
And in that movie, they're basically just walking through like where they walked in that movie. Is that what that is?
Yeah, like where certain scenes were filmed, that whole deal.
Okay, yeah. So they're just kind of sprinkling his ashes on the ground. Starlight is there as well, same as Kimiko. So it's the entire squad. They're kind of rolling. Along the way, as they're walking, we get a home truther, one of Homelander's supporters, flipping Starlight off, calling her out for abortion, and yeah. So right now, a public opinion of her is very very low. Then we cut to the Vernon Correctional Facility, and this is where Kimiko is trying to visit our boy Frenchie, who turned himself in last episode for all of the murders that he's committed. And Frenchie doesn't want to see her. So that's a bit tough for Kimiko. Inmate refused visitation. So Frenchie just wants to wallow solo. Meanwhile, on the Vought end, Firecracker has now replaced our man Cameron Coleman, who they murdered last episode because they thought that he was the one snitching when it was actually Homelander. So Firecracker has taken over as the new anchor for Vought. Big career come up for her. She's talking about Jewish space lasers, and then this little subline was pretty funny. Are they forcing you to wear yarmulkes? I'll tell you what, Damon. When I had a bald spot last year, I could have really used a fucking yarmulke. And then, and then, meanwhile, we see MM. He's been running the show. He's trying to stay calm, trying to stay calm through this meditation app. But there's really not a lot of things to stay calm about. But A Train hits up MM and is like, dude, you're putting me in a lot of danger because we know that A Train is working along with the boys right now to basically deliver them information. They're trying to take down Homelander. And A Train tells MM that they killed Cameron Coleman. So his ass is going to be done soon. And MM's trying to tell A Train to just stay the course, stay calm. But A Train's obviously freaking out because he's the one who has his life in danger. And since he's still in the seven, they could get to him at any moment. So things aren't looking great right now. And now all of a sudden, our boy Tech Knight is back in the mix. We'll find out what his involvement is soon. But Sage is talking to Tech Knight, and he's having this party, this what they call a Federalist Society party tonight at his estate. Basically, just like a rich person donor party. A lot of business tycoon stuff like that, and they're probably more right wing leaning. And Tech Knight apparently is extremely wealthy because he's hosting this estate party, and Sage is going to be there. And I think the boys, they have their plan. They're going to sneak into this cocktail party, and they're going to sneak in using this other soup named Webweaver. I'm going to pause real quick before we get into that whole Webweaver scene. Any thoughts, Damon?
Yeah. The plan that we actually get revealed from A Train takes us to a whole new level of depravity because they killed Coleman. Firecracker is talking about how Coleman is just on a leave of absence when she's one of the people who beat the hell out of him. So at this point, the seven, if they were ever even on the rails a little bit, are completely off. Like, throw that away. The anti-Semitic tropes that they were talking about with the firecracker video is a bit of a return to what Vought used to peddle, so that's not super surprising here. To go to what A Train is doing right now, he is truly invaluable right now. We'll talk a little bit more about him, but he has repaid his debt and then some. I thought it was interesting that if he goes out of the country, he can't be traced when he's like talking to MM. So we'll see if that actually holds true or if Vought has something up their sleeve to counteract that. Just the first scene we kicked off with Butcher and Kessler. Butcher has gone full blown sinister at this point, and Kessler is that force pushing him there. Things get even crazier as the episode continues here. But again, the idea that Kessler probably isn't real is just cemented every time because it is totally believable that Samir is freaked out that Butcher's just talking to himself like this over and over again.
Yeah. We got some chats from Keola Davidson. You've been a supporter since day one, so really appreciate you. We'll read chats at the end because I just want to rip through this episode real quick. Full disclosure, guys, I gotta catch a flight in like an hour and a half. So I'm gonna rip through this and then we'll catch the chats. But thank you, appreciate you, Keola, for your support. All right, so let's keep going. So they meet this dude Webweaver. Basically, Webweaver. I can't fucking talk, but Webweaver is like a soup with like spider-like powers. He got the invite to the Tech Night party, and their whole thing is they're gonna basically just drug him, hold him hostage, and then use his disguise, and then sneak Huey into the party instead. So we get this whole scene. Webweaver is on drugs. He's an addict, and he makes MM inject the drugs into his like web hole, which is like a second asshole that's on his lower back. It's pretty fucking gnarly, and they end up injecting like what, Rufinol in his ass.
Yeah, it feels
Oh
like
shit.
if Meat Canyon made a Spider-Man video. That's what this whole scene reminded me of. It was pretty nasty.
Pretty nasty stuff. And then MM also gets sprayed. Mother's Milk gets sprayed with some Webweaver milk as well. Very tough scene. But Huey takes. Oh god, I gotta stop showing ass cheeks on YouTube. But dude, the boys I'm scrolling through the fucking screen recorder.
Yeah, you're walking a minefield, dude.
There's just cheeks everywhere, man. But so Huey takes his disguise or takes his costume, and then he goes in, and he's got to talk like Webweaver. So Webweaver talks like a California bro. It's a lot of like, yo, that's sick, man, sick, dude, stuff like that. So Huey's got to talk like that. So we cut to Tech Knight's party. Tech Knight's got this beautiful, beautiful estate. He's rich as fuck. And we'll find out that his ancestors were slave owners. So a lot of his family wealth is from what? Private prisons? Is that what
Yeah,
it is?
which is pretty much modern day slavery.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think the police were started originally as slave catchers. I think that was the genesis of the police force. But all right, so he's got all these donors here. He's got Homelander, Ryan, most of the members of the Seven, everyone. They're doing this little like fundraising event, fundraising like, also trying to get votes, right? Trying to get votes and trying to steer the political direction of the country. And things get fucking pretty wild. Quick chat from Keola. Ain't no party like a Tech Night party. Yeah.
Oof.
Shit gets crazy. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to be careful when I'm dragging through that as well. But Homelander's introducing Ryan to everyone. It's just a typical like fucking donor scene type of shit. And then we keep going. Blah blah blah. Homelander shits on Tech Knight. Everyone is terrified of Homelander. Still don't really know what Homelander's whole thing here is. Like, I think he's just trying to steer like more power to the soups, right? So, but like, there's no reason for him to be at this party.
His whole reasoning to be there is because he's now on this like pursuit, right? Of I am the ultimate being. Superheroes are the best, and I'm the best superhero. We have to make sure that we can consolidate all the power to Newman so we can reorder society where soups are gods and humans are subservient, essentially.
Yeah, we got a chat from Kaiwan. How did they use a real political group? That whole reason is the Constitution involved in saying that Homelander is going to. Do you know what that means?
So I think the Federalist Society is a real like right-wing political donor block. This is like if you were to picture this,
Gotcha.
this group of people is not like the far right politically. This is like the old money right, center right, who like believe in constitutional rights, etc.
Oh, so this is like back when like back when the U.S. had like the Whig Party, right? Like stuff like that, basically.
Kind of, sort of, but the Federalists were really big on the idea of like constitutional rights, the vision of the founding fathers, that kind of idea.
Oh, okay. So I think I now I remember. I think Homelander's trying to change, like evoke one of the amendments, right? And then
Yes.
change or like either evoke it so then the soups can get more power, essentially.
Yeah.
All right. So Ashley pulls up, and we learn a lot more about. We know that she's into that dominatrix type shit, but she's also at this party, and Sage is like, "Who invited you?" And Ashley's like, "I'm actually really tight with Tech Knight," and we'll find out how tight she is later on in this episode. But so she got the invite anyways, and Ashley's starting to find her own voice and basically be like, "Fuck you, Sage. I'm not going down without a fight." So that's all going down. Tech Knight kind of talks a little bit. This part is super fucked up. He's talking about to A Train and Firecracker
Yeah.
about basically how his family got their money. Everyone thinks that Tech Knight is rich from the VOD stuff, the movies. He's like, nope, it's just generational racism wealth that we have. Essentially, that's basically what he says, and then says some shit to Homelander that's pretty fucked up, saying that we would have caught you even if you're fast. I hope Homelander rips his head off, but obviously Tech Knight will get his. So as this is all happening, Starlight and them actually, I think they're nearby, and we see Huey in the Web Weaver disguise, and this probably isn't going to work out well, but they don't really have any other options. So, oh, also the costume smells like fucking what Huey calls ass sweat and broken dreams in here. Damon, your high school didn't have a football team, right?
We didn't have a football team, but I did play football in 7th and 8th grade, and our coach was like, your typical like chewing tobacco, everything, and he would always tell us he washed the jerseys, but he never did. So I kind of get what you're getting at.
Dude, yeah, it's like when you whenever I would walk in the football locker room, it smelled like straight ass sweat and broken dreams. That's such a good description. It was the gnarliest smell fucking ever. But they got to be careful because Tech Knight has super senses, right? So if your heart rate is a little bit faster, you can tell you're nervous. If your eyes are darting around even for a split second, he can tell that you're lying, shit like that. So it's super hard to pull a fast one on Tech Knight. That's why it'll help Huey that he gets to at least put the mask on, but still he's got to like try to calm his voice and just not give it away. So they're going to be nearby, and they're going to have comms on Huey. So they're going to be all like walkie-talkied up, stuff like that. And they're just going to see what Huey can find from the party. So we continue to go on the party, and this part's fucked up where Tech Knight has all like black like help around the house, and they refer to him as Master Knight. Insanity.
Yeah.
Insanity.
It feels very much like an episode of Atlanta in some respects,
Yes,
with the way
yes.
that they pull that commentary off.
It does. So it did give off Atlanta vibes. This looked like Abe Lincoln right here. This fucking portrait, but it's obviously not Abe Lincoln. But it looked like Abe Lincoln, which is just super ironic. But Huey's nervous as fuck because he sees the 7 here. So now Homelander's here. So that's gonna be terrifying. He bumps into then Victoria Newman, and she can't tell that it's Huey, obviously, and she's got other things on her mind. They're surprised to see Newman here because Newman is still on Robert Singer's party, so it's weird that she would be here.
Yeah. It would be like if you saw like not AOC, but like maybe like a similar type figure at a Federalist Society like thing, or like Gavin Newsom at a Federalist Society party. Like you wouldn't see it.
Would Trump be at like a Federalist? Like, would that fit into
Yes.
what?
He would be more likely to do it. They're like a little more like buttoned up than he is, though. Picture these as like politicians who don't rock the boat as much as like the far left or the far right would.
Yeah, because the Federalist is like old money, fucking old money America type shit. Right?
Establishment.
Yeah, that's like as establishment as you can get, and it's all basically just about keeping the control. Even if it's in the government, it's like having their people in the government.
And like the way things used to be, and like liberties and stuff like that, like quote unquote used to be.
Yeah. So Newman is there, and Tech Knight sees Web Weaver. So everyone there, everyone that we basically care about, other than fucking Stan Edgar, who we don't know where he's at right now. We know that Newman has him hostage somewhere. So Stan Edgar is not there. What's her face? Grace Mallory is not there, and our man Butcher is not there. But basically, everybody else is on Tech Knight's estate. So Tech Knight meets Web Weaver, and he's super excited to see him. We don't know why at first, but we'll find out. we'll find out soon. So Tech Knight's like, yeah, really honored that you would consider being, my sidekick. And we're like, huh, what is that? I was like, what does that mean? Really excited. So he's like, all right, let me give you a tour. You're like, oh yeah, like let me give you a tour. Like that's
there's some red flags here.
Red flags. Like it's like the same as being on a date and be like, hey, you want to get out of here? Like it's coded language, but everyone knows what that means. So Tech Knight's like, yeah, let me give you a tour. Now, as that's happening, Newman ends up meeting up with Sage and Homelander, and this is an uneasy alliance right here. And Newman's like, as you had just mentioned earlier, Damon, Newman really shouldn't be here because she's part of Singer's platform. They're quote unquote, they're like the Dems, right? Essentially, in this show. So if she's caught here, that would look very, very bad. So she's like, I don't know why I'm here, but Homelander, I guess, wants her here. So that happens, and Homelander. Okay, so then this is where Homelander reveals like why he's here, and Sage is like, listen, 38% of our country's GDP is in this room, so it's the most powerful people in honestly the world are all here, and they're trying to sway some influence, and it's the 25th Amendment. I gotta look up what the 25th Amendment is real quick, unless you know off the top of your head.
That is the idea that like the VP becomes president if the president dies or is impeached or is removed. So like basically if Singer dies because he gets exploded or something, or somebody takes him out, so Newman has deniability, Newman immediately becomes the holder of power.
Now here's but David, here's the thing though. That amendment already stands. So are they basically saying like we want to make sure that that amendment stands?
They're basically consolidating support as to like when she becomes, or like when this happens, like when Singer's out, like are you guys going to like work with us and rally behind her even though she is not a member of your party?
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, yes. Now that's why they're there. So the whole setup is to kill Singer, get Newman there, but then have the movers and shakers support Newman, even if they're typically going to be supportive of the opposite party. Homelander then calls out Newman he basically knows that she's responsible for Stan Edgar's disappearance. He says, yeah, Edgar's out of prison, and then he hasn't been seen since. So what's been going on? So he's on to her. Homelander has these moments where he knows exactly what the fuck is going on. It's really kind of it's kind of funny.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna jump to this scene. So the tour continues, and Tech Knight shows our man Huey his little library, and then within this library, there's this little like secret room, and in that secret room is where we see. This was like also very Batman-esque, but we see it's Tech Knight's fucking sex dungeon.
So Tech Knight is actually supposed to be commentary like on Batman in some ways, like billionaire with tons of money, doesn't have like the most impressive powers, but like does like solves crime, quote unquote.
Got it. That makes sense. Yeah, Keola, the Uncle Tom book had me weak. Yeah, that was crazy. He had the Uncle Tom's Cabin book in his fucking his library,
which is like a pro-abolitionist like text in some ways. So like, I don't think he hasn't even read it clearly to be so proud of having it.
Right. He just likes the name, but he calls this the Tech Cave. So his butler is what's his name? It's Elijah, and
yes.
Elijah's raised him. So it's another play on basically Batman. And Tech Knight was an orphan. So yeah, it's very Batman-esque. And Tech Knight already has his previous sidekick there, chained up, enslaved, and this is like his gimp. This also maybe gave a lot of what's it called, Pulp Fiction vibes.
Yes, yep, I have that in my notes. Where Bruce Willis, not to spoil anything, same idea.
So turns out that he really invited Huey over, or Web Weaver, to basically be his number one sex slave. And just be into like kink and dominatrix and stuff like that. I'm gonna pause here because I've been going on a lot, but just any thoughts on all the stuff that we covered so far?
Yeah, we can start in the present and work back a little bit along the Tech Cave and Tech Knight when he's talking to Huey, or no, Web Weaver, but Huey going into the chamber there. talking about the Safdies directing a Tech Knight movie. Like those are the guys who did Uncut Gems. The idea that they would do a Tech Knight movie is pretty ridiculous. Maybe like a Russo brothers vehicle, but definitely not the Safdie brothers. Homelander explaining the plan to Newman. She's now fully invested in this. He knows something is up with Edgar. And if we remember, right, Edgar is one of the only people who Homelander really is intimidated by. Mm-hmm. He can really get under Homelander's skin. So even though Edgar is out and can't really pose a threat to Homelander, this is going to irk him. And he's already mentally unstable. So this is only going to get even worse. For the Tech Knight thing, just a couple of things here. When he's having to chat with Firecracker, and Firecracker talks about the entertainment money idea, and then he comes in with it. No, this is real money, even though we know it's related to slavery in a way. But she is still white trash to a lot of these members of the Seven. She's not going to be let into this club anytime soon. Homelander also disses Tech Knight as like, you don't even have any real powers compared to me. So all of these supes are wildly insecure and just trying to see how they stack up against each other at this party in some ways. The look at A-Train when he mentioned slavery, like we know this guy was awful during Gen V, but every time he takes the screen during this season of The Boys, his stock just goes lower and lower. Dare I say, like a bottom 3 character in the whole franchise.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, nice. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like when celebrities attend parties with each other, like how authentic is it really? It's like Michael Rubin's white party.
Exactly. Like, you know why you're there.
You know why you're there. All right, so then this part's funny. We finally see Black Noir V2 unmasked, and he's just this dude. He's a soup, but he just wants to act, right? And I think he is a soup, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think he does have some. He has some strength, right?
Yeah.
I think he still has some abilities.
So he just wants to act, and he's like sick of this shit. He's just drinking a beer. He's sitting in Homelander's chair. It's just him in the Deep. Oh, I should offer a correction. I said everyone else that mattered was at the Tech Knight thing. The Deep and Black Noir are not there. But Deep's like, dude, you could get killed. And Black Noir V2's like, nobody gives a fuck about us. Like, no one's even here. They're all at that Tech Knight fundraiser. So he's just kind of like, he's kind of ranting, being like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Kind of the same stuff. I'm gonna quit and do something else. And then Deep gives this fucking crazy speech where he basically is just like, yeah, like killing made the old Black Noir horny. And then I realized that like the Deep is realizing that he likes violence as well. It's powerful. Very, very scary for the Deep, who we thought was a soup that might have a potential redeeming path. It seems like he's going down the dark path. Quick chat from Keola says, love the scene with the Deep and the new Black Noir. The Deep is so damn dumb, but he's trying to be genuine 100%. That's
he thinks he's doing something good.
Yeah, he has no idea. And then, yeah.
He's just radicalized.
He's no different than, he's just a home truther essentially. And then Black Noir V2, we'll see what he ends up, which path he ends up going. Okay, back to the boys. They're still kind of just waiting on Huey, but they're worried because they've now lost communication with Huey because he's in the tech cave. And then we also cut to Butcher, and Butcher's having hallucinations of Rebecca, and she's like, "Why would you cut off Samir's leg? You're being terrible." All that. So, let's see. Let's keep going. Oh, okay. So then this part's actually pretty funny. Newman is talking to this one dude who's like really powerful, and Newman. The only reason Newman is even open to this is because she's a soup and she wants to protect her daughter. But Newman is pretty liberal, so she's obviously gonna be pro-abortion, stuff like that. And then this dude is just like, he's like, yeah, nationwide ban on abortion is just good policy. So that obviously, like,
yeah,
it disgusts Newman. She thinks about popping her own head off. Like, she fantasizes about popping her own head off, which is pretty funny. Then, what's it called? Sage pulls up, and her and Newman kind of talk, and, they're both kind of basically like, oh, we're sick of men like mansplaining, stuff like that. They don't get it. And Sage's whole thing is, okay, that's fine. That's why we're going to take over. We're going to be the true people with power. Fuck these men. Basically that type of stuff. That's Sage's opinion. So both of these women have been kind of held down a lot by men in their lives, and Sage's approach is basically, I'm just going to burn them all. I'm going to do whatever I need to do. Newman has that similar approach, but she still cares more about her daughter. But in the meantime, she's just like, I'm going to get fucked up. Then Firecracker tries to have like a conversation with Sage, and Homelander kind of gets brushed off. All right, now we're back to the sex dungeon, the tech cave, and they have a chocolate cake. And at this point now, Tech Knight has, I'm going to try to describe this in detail, but basically Tech Knight is asphyxiating himself, right? He has something around his neck, and he's choking himself and getting off watching Huey put his bare ass cheeks on chocolate cake and like smear it in the cake.
Yeah.
That's basically what's happening.
Yeah.
And Damon, you can mention this on the recap, but Keola talked about the Sister Sage backstory, where she's talking about how her grandma had brain cancer, and then Sage figured out the cure, and then the doctor still laughed at her. There could be some, like, there's like not just racial discrimination there, but also just like, oh yeah, this is just like some dumb girl. Like that's what the docs are thinking, you know?
Yeah.
So that kind of,
that's a good point.
So Tech Knight then wants this is crazy as fuck. Tech Knight wants Huey to fart in the cake. So Huey has to fart, and then Elijah's just watching this whole time, just like, this is some sick ass fucking shit, man. But Tech Knight wants Huey to fart in the cake, and Huey's got to squeeze out a fart in the cake. And oh god, I hope I didn't just show dong on this stream. It's fake dong, YouTube. And while this is all going on, fucking Ashley comes down, and we find out that the reason why her and Tech Knight are tight is that they're both into these like crazy fantasy, like heavy kink play. So Ashley comes immediately, and she assumes the dominatrix role, and it's not looking good for our boy Huey. So that's all going down. I'm gonna take a pause here. Thoughts on all of that?
The whole Tech Knight Huey sequence is crazy because like pretty much the whole time he's being sexually assaulted, and I know a lot of people had like a lot of different thoughts and feelings on this one, but I mean, it also is crazy because remember he like talked so much about how Tech Knight, like he wanted the Tech Knight action figure with his dad last episode.
Yeah.
So it's a crazy like circular thing that's going down here and coming through. Some of the more interesting parts in this, like Keola mentioned, like the Sister Sage angle and how she is taking it upon herself to try and influence Newman. You see Sister Sage's teeth more and more every episode, like what she's really going for and her absolute hatred towards really anybody who is dumber than her, which is everybody. So she is kind of alienated from society by how she was. Like, you remember how Homelander found her in that room, basically covered in books, like with fast food takeout containers all around. Like, she's really been treated pretty poorly and probably goes through a lot of stuff in her own head. And we're seeing her get her revenge arc through this.
Yep. I just typed in the chat, Tech Diddy. Okay, so I'm going to try to skip through the butt cheeks. All right. We're back to Butcher, and Butcher's having some second thoughts, and he's like, man, should we really make Samir do this? And he's talking to Kessler, and Kessler's just like, don't be a pussy. Like, we got to go do this. Like, we got to basically be tough and just, and, you know, do whatever we got to do to get the result that we want. Back to Tech Knight's sex dungeon. I feel so bad for Huey. This is brutal. So Huey at this point is tied up, and Ashley is tickling his bare feet. That's agonizing. Fucking agonizing. Tickling his bare feet, and then she says she's going to basically, I'm going to sit my swollen clit on your stupid masked face and piss like a skunk. Oh my God, bruh. I just can't do that. I'm not into that. I'm not into that pee play. And she just had asparagus. Very, very bad. Yeah, this is brutal. I'm telling you, Keola, like, going through these, I'm always just praying that YouTube doesn't demonetize us, because you just never know when you're going to see ass cheeks in any of these boys episodes. So this whole thing is just Huey just basically getting assaulted. Then we just got this random tied up gimp like screaming. I can't. He probably doesn't like watching this, but we don't really know. Um, and Tech Knight is just watching. He's sipping some booze. He's having a great time. And he says, if Web Weaver wants you to stop, he'll use his safe word. Now that's obviously a problem because Huey has no fucking idea what the actual safe word is. So he's screwed because Ashley can keep going, and unless Huey magically knows the safe word, he could die. And that's also a way for Tech Knight to figure out if this is actually Huey or if this is actually Web Weaver or someone else in disguise, because the real Web Weaver would know the safe word. So that part was really interesting. And Huey just starts yelling out random words to try to guess the safe word, and it's not working. And Tech Knight at this point is onto him. And then Ashley says it's getting pretty swampy down there. That's just a foul description, absolutely foul. Meanwhile, Firecracker is having some time alone in the bathroom, and then Starlight at this point can't take enough, or Starlight at this point is so worried about Huey that she's like, fuck this, like I'm gonna go in and rescue him. It is her boyfriend after all. They have no comms on Huey, so the entire time, like Kimiko, MM, and Starlight, they're kind of just sitting there wondering what the fuck is going on with Huey, and her and Firecracker end up having this tense face to face, and at first it looks like Starlight is trying to genuinely apologize for the bullying that she did back in the day, but she's really just there to basically drug Firecracker and subdue her. So I'm gonna stop right there.
Yeah, the Starlight Firecracker face off that we get here, Starlight and Firecracker really aren't so different from where we get from their like beginnings to where they are now. Clearly, Firecracker is not being given any sort of respect by the Seven beyond what she can do to mobilize, as they say, like the idiots who watch VNN. There was even a line earlier where Sage pretty much just tells Firecracker to go grab some Sunny D and Everclear if she wants it over at the bar, because that was like fit her taste. My inner white trash self kind of felt bad about that one for a second. When bounce back and forth though, like there was no chance Starlight was actually gonna rely on this, because you can't take this chance, especially since Firecracker's always trying to prove herself a little bit. The Butcher and Kessler scene earlier there, what's going on with him right now is crazy. I say him because like there's no chance Kessler is also a real person. The real me likes to hear him scream coming from Kessler to Butcher, making him go really rabid. This is getting pretty heavy-handed, but I get what they're trying to do with Kessler trying to push Butcher over the edge. Although Kessler does have to chill with his Applebee's hate, because half-priced apps are God's work, so maybe we can take it easy on those Buffalo tenders, buddy. The other thing is that if Butcher goes too far into what Kessler is trying to do, he is going to lose any chance at turning Ryan, and Ryan is going right down Homelander Street right now. So if he can't actually corral Ryan, it might not even matter if he gets rid of Homelander, because you might just have Homelander 2 right behind him. And Ryan may be actually more powerful than Homelander, because if you remember during like early on in The Boys, when he gets mad about what Homelander says to his mom, Ryan just like chucks Homelander. And that was when he was like 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely want to watch out for that one. All the Huey scenes, like it feels like honestly like a scene from a raunchy 90s comedy with Jim Carrey being tortured or something like that, the way that it kind of goes through. Very like, controversial scene, very, very strange, but like the tone just keeps on shifting dramatically the whole time.
Yeah, that Dom, listen, that's not my thing. Or maybe I'm just saying that to lead you guys off the right track, but God, that's just terrifying, man. Just to be in that position, tied up, fucking couldn't be me, man. But you know what's funny, David? There's a lot of powerful people who love that shit, low key.
You never know, man. Especially when you get like Tech Knight they go hard on that in the beginning, like him, like the asphyxiation and stuff. But he's definitely got some real weird stuff going on, and you can't help but think that the fact that he's a billionaire on like a heap of like unjustifiably earned money, that probably has something to do with it.
Yeah. Do you remember a few years ago, like when they had that whole Ashley Madison scandal? where like a bunch
Oh
of fucking
yeah.
powerful CEOs and shit had their names leaked and they were just all on the website basically cheating.
Yeah, I've do was that like 27, 16, 2015,
Yeah,
something
it
like
was like
that?
15, 16. I wonder how many of them were into Dom stuff. Keola says Huey not knowing the safe word is nightmare fuel. Yeah, legit. Like they're just basically abusing him at this point right now. So like he could get
Yeah.
like he probably won't die, but he could get hurt and banged up bad. You know, like they could
Yeah.
shove a pole up his ass, man. This is un-American. But anyways, let's keep it going. So we left off. Where do we leave off? Starlight basically takes out fucking Firecracker.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm gonna really try not to step on a landmine here. Yeah, so Ashley does come on Huey's face. Huey's just the most submissive dude. He's just so broken at this point. I feel so
Yeah.
bad for Huey. He actually does a great job acting this out in the in this episode, but Huey's just getting abused right now, and he can't do anything else about it because if they find out that he's not Web Weaver, he dies right there. So there's nothing he can do. He just has to take it. And then Ashley at this point is, I guess she had just finished either peeing on him or coming on him or both, and then her and Tech Knight just start making out. They're loving this shit. Poor Huey. This is just brutal stuff. And then
The weird thing is they think that this is Webweaver and Huey is pretending to be Webweaver. So it's like it's horrible, but it's like they don't even know what they're doing is horrible. They think it's like everyone's chill with it because like Tech definitely talked to Webweaver about this before this happened.
yeah, 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 Tech and Web Weaver definitely talked about like the shit they were gonna do. Um, yeah, it's crazy. Okay, so now it's just Tech Knight and Web Weaver. So Tech Knight tells Ashley go back upstairs, go change, replenish your fluids. Fucking nasty, and this is where Tech Knight basically is like he's like, yeah, tell us what's the safe word basically, and pulls off the mask. Tech Knight has been onto him the entire time and knows that it's Huey, and Tech Knight is excited because he's like, yeah, I'm gonna basically point you out to Homelander, and then you're basically cooked once I point you out to Homelander. So Huey's in a lot of trouble, and Tech Knight now says, what I'm gonna do. This part was so fucked up. He basically is gonna stab Huey up in certain places and make his own holes, and then fuck those holes. Really brutal shit. And Huey's just sitting there like, oh my god, I'm fucked. And we know from Gen V that Tech Knight loves fucking any type of hole. That's his like,
Yeah.
right? Any type of hole. He just loves like sticking his dick in it. So Huey's in a lot of trouble. And then meanwhile, MM and Kimiko realize that Annie has actually left and has gone in. So they go upstairs, and then they actually find Sage. And so I guess they had snuck into the house, and they were in the house the entire time, Damon, and they were just hiding out in a secret area of the house.
I think yeah, Kimiko, I believe it's Kimiko. It might have been Starlet, but somebody like climbs up and then lets them in, and then they're sort of trying to figure out the best way to get in there and help Huey out.
The thing with the boys is that like I miss a lot of things because like it's weird. You're not super focused when you're watching it, and people kind of just end up in the same places and stuff. Like they don't do a ton of exposition, right? It's kind of like, hey, we have to get to this place. We're all of the main characters are now at this place, and now
Yeah.
we just keep moving through plot, which is fine. So, Sister Sage is there now. Here's the interesting part, right? So they're all in the library, and I think Sage tries to run off or something, right? Let's see. So Sage knows about MM's family, and she tries to trigger that. And then as she tries to make kind of like a run for it or something like that, MM shoots her in the head. And now we know that's not going to kill Sage because her brain regenerates, but we don't know if that's going to cause permanent damage or not, right?
I think, ironically, he could have shot her anywhere else and she wouldn't have healed. This is the only time a headshot's not ideal. They still have to get the bullet out, though.
Okay, so if they don't get the bullet out, she's basically has like a sub 20 IQ essentially.
Yeah, I think she's sidelined for longer than it would be during her whole like lobotomy fetish deal.
Okay. Yeah. So that happens, and then Kimiko at this point finds the secret door. Uh, this is the book, right? The Marquise de Sade, the 120 Days of Sodom.
Oh, that's the book that opens it up, which is
I'm gonna look up this book right now. 120 Days of Sodom. I want to see what this is about. It's a manuscript. Oh, it's a pornography manuscript. Maybe that's where
oh
the
yeah.
word sodomy comes from. If anyone knows in the chat, educate us. So they go downstairs and they basically, let's see. Oh, actually, before they go downstairs, MM has like basically a panic attack because he thinks he had just killed Sage and he just crumples to the ground, and that is not good. So that's happening, and then I think, all right, let's cut back at in the main level of the house. Everyone's still mingling, and Kimiko um, gets A Train's attention, and basically it's just like, A Train, go deliver MM to a hospital. And meanwhile, Kimiko, let's keep going. Kimiko and um, oh, actually, all right, I'm gonna pause it here actually
All right.
before the rescue
Um,
scene.
all right. We have a first-hand look into Sage's manipulation skills. They're elite, but how is she getting this info? It seems like that Vought might have more surveillance on the boys than we thought because she knew a hell of a lot about MM's family. With the Kimiko and A Train angle here, A Train getting the save to his credit. Um, I think his redemption arc is one of the best parts of this season, and we'll get a little more into that later on. But that was pretty awesome to see. He gets that recognition his from the kid who he dropped off, which kind of makes up for the recognition that his nephews did not have for him after they basically disowned him. But there is no chance that he doesn't get killed by the end of the season,
Yeah,
which is really tough to say because like he has just been such a revelation as a character this season. It's been awesome, but yeah, it's probably not going well.
yeah, it's probably over for our boy.
Yeah, he went out on top though. You know what I mean? He went out strong.
Yeah, uh, and yeah, real quick, they so as oh man, this part's so fucked up, but Tech Knight has like these circles drawn on Huey basically just for targets for where he's gonna poke the holes, and Starlight and Kimiko come in just in time to beat the fuck out of Tech Knight and save Huey. And as you just mentioned, A Train delivers MM to a local paramedic, and the boy recognizes him. So that is probably gonna wrap up A Train's arc. And he's turned out to be one of my favorite characters. But now back to the fundraising level. Homelander at this point tries to gather everyone's attention. They're trying to give the speech basically that, hey, we're gonna take over this shit. Problem is, Homelander isn't really good with plans, and all of these rich people are like, there's so many other things you haven't thought about yet. Like the markets are going to be fucked. Like the world's going to fall apart if you don't have some sort of plan. You can't just take over the world without a plan on how to run it. And the world's going to fall apart. So it overwhelms Homelander a lot. He's not smart, so he can't think through it. And at the same time, Sister Sage has the bullet in her head, so she's just eating cake and she's completely dysfunctional. And this is where Newman steps in and takes over. And she basically just says, like, look, we're not a democracy. We need basically the masses to quote unquote like fucking build our statues, right? Which is what Sister Sage said at the beginning of the season. And we have to control the masses and we got to keep them happy. But like, the masses are going to do what we want. I guess this place was bugged, Damon. Is this what this is?
Yes, those bugs were placed there by Huey at the start of the episode.
Okay, perfect. So this is a lot of dirt, and Newman's like, support me, and we're gonna make sure that the powers that be stay in those positions, and everything continues to flow along. Because I mean, that's the ultimate point, right? Like, if you're already powerful and you're in the driver's seat, you don't want the status quo to change. And Sage, like at first, Newman looks over at Sage. She's like, "Yeah, that's what you wanted, right?" And then she realizes that like Sage is just like completely loopy and not really herself. Back in the tech cave, Starlight and Kimiko are interrogating him, and what's it called? Let's see. Tech Knight's like, you guys are all fucking dead when I tell Homelander. And at first they try to torture him and hurt him, but that doesn't work because Tech Knight is a sicko and he loves that shit. So then the only torture that they really need to do is torturing his bank account, and this is where his like other sidekick slave pulls out the laptop and is just like, yeah, just take his money. So they just start, not only do they take his money, they wire his money into like left leaning organizations, right? Like basically charitable organizations. So they first wire 40 million to Elizabeth Warren's super PAC, which is every finance rich person bro's like worst nightmare. Then they wire 65 million to the Innocence Project. I don't know what that is. Then 100 mil to Black Lives Matter.
That's what really sets him off too. It was almost like he wasn't going to crack until that happened.
Yeah, and then he cracks and he's like, they made me a deal. And he just says, look, like they were going to use Tech Knight's prisons to hold any dissenters. So this is turning into Nazi Germany pretty soon. And they're going to, like, I think they were going to kill him. But then Elijah's like, nope. I am the one who raised this fucking scumbag. Like, I'm the one who cleaned cum and did all this fucked up shit courtesy of him. But prison camps is where I draw the line. So then Elijah and the Gimp basically are like, we'll take care of this bastard. And he also then tells Huey the safe word was Zendaya. Fucking random.
Which because Webweaver is again a Spider-Man, like they're trying to make fun of Spider-Man.
Oh shit!
So it's like a Tom Holland joke.
God damn, dude. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I assume they kill him. Like, do you think we're gonna get another Tech Knight appearance?
I think Tech Knight is dead, and I hope Tech Knight is dead. The torture scene was pretty well done. The way that they kind of flipped the script on him. Like you said, though, the prison aspect is insane and makes this way more sinister. That they're actually going to do like an internment camp style thing here. That David Carradine joke from Elijah was a little bit of dark humor. So David Carradine was the actor who was trying to like choke himself when he was it was like, I think it was early, like 10 years ago or so, but he dies because of that. So he's trying to like, we're going to make it look like he killed himself trying to give himself pleasure, if you will. So that's where they're going for on that angle. Homelander's speech when he's trying to assess the damage, Sage is hilarious in some of these scenes because like she's just looped out of her mind because of the brain damage. I almost think Homelander's going to permanently lose respect for her after she dropped the ball here because it wasn't her fault, but now that he knows she has a weakness like that, I feel like he's going to take away some of that faith he had in her going forward here. His boldness is, he's a bold man, but when he couldn't answer basic questions about the government and about like what was going to go down around the world, kind of hilarious because there's no way this guy would pass a global studies class at a college level. This is what Edgar predicted was going to happen, but Newman comes in to help him out, right? You hear one of the ladies say, like, save the boogeyman shit for the idiots watching Vought News Network. Newman comes in, saves the day with the line that people are a labor force that need a firm hand was gross. But again, she's trying to manipulate others into believing they're superior beings to get them on their cause. She's trying to align the billionaires with the soups, which is dangerous as hell. The Sage and Newman interaction when they're just nodding at each other, like that was some straight up like Ashton Kutcher, dude, where's my car kind of humor, but it was pretty funny. Homelander's gonna hold a grudge on the fact that Newman had to play cleanup. He has that weird twitch at the end of the scene that we see, so he's not totally content right now. One last note on Newman: she was held in Red River, where she was definitely not treated very well and was kind of shoved into the underbelly of society from there. So she does still have a bone to pick. It remains to be seen whether or not Edgar can hold her back from committing these atrocities or if he's going to play a role in trying to save the day from that angle.
Yep. Good points there. And that is a good reference back to Stan Edgar when he basically just told Homelander, like, you could kill everyone, but you have no idea how to run anything. And you're just basically a moron and it'll all collapse anyway. So you need smarter people to run it. All right, let's keep going. Safe word Zendaya. All right, now we're over. The boys escape that hellhole that is the tech cave, and we cut to the next day. MM is being told that he had a panic attack, and it's like you got to just figure out a way to be more calm. And he gets this funny notification: "Are you being mindful of this moment?" At the same time, Kimiko tries to go back and visit Frenchie again. And let's see, what does she go? Yeah, so this time around, Frenchie once again says he doesn't want to see her, but she basically just sits there and is going to wait until she can finally get to see Frenchie. Then Homelander is just kind of sulking, as you just said, because he wasn't the one who was the star of the show. Newman took over, and Firecracker reports that, hey, they what's it called? That Starlight was at the mansion, at Tech Knight's mansion, but she got away, and someone clearly is, and that Tech Knight is dead. So clearly Cameron Coleman was not the leak, because how else would they have known about the party, stuff like that. So there's someone else who's leaking things out of the seven. So it's either Sage or someone else, right? So Firecracker's starting to take control. And Homelander immediately turns it on her and says, like, well, how do I know you're not the leak? And I did not expect this scene to go like this. I don't think we see boobs in this episode, so I'm gonna keep dragging my cursor because I don't think we see tits. But Firecracker basically says, yeah, like why would I be the leak if I went from basically being someone with like 100 viewers? Hey, as someone right now, David, with like on average 2 to 4 viewers, I would take 100 viewers. But for Firecracker, she's like, hey, I only had 100 viewers and now I have millions. I'm the fucking anchor of VNN. Why would I ever leak this? Homelander doesn't care, but it doesn't matter because Firecracker then walks up and starts like seducing him, and Homelander's like, I'm not attracted to you. But then Firecracker unleashes her trump card, which is basically squirting mother's milk, I guess, on Homelander's face. And Homelander's like, how are you able to do that if you're not pregnant? And Firecracker says, yeah, I take these hormones to make it happen. And it's like, it enlarges my heart just a little bit, which is fucking crazy. So now that's Homelander's got his own mommy thing going on. She's going to replace Madeline from season 1. And Homelander's basically sucking milk out of her breasts. And Firecracker is now in. Like, she's probably going to be the second most valuable person, well, other than Ryan, to Homelander. And then, yeah, let me just pause there because clearly.
So we saw those pills were actually what we discovered in her trailer earlier in the season. I looked up the pills and what they did, and there was all about like digestive stuff. And then one little thing talked about breastfeeding, and I was like, no, that's got to be a mistake. She's got to have some digestional issue. I was wrong. I was dead wrong because we're right back in Homelander's Freudian arc where he started. He's found another mother figure in a time of need here.
Yeah. Then we got to. Then it's similar. We're also covering House of the Dragon, and it's similar to fucking Aemond and that prostitute from the Street of Silk.
Oh, okay. I see that angle.
Same angle, like that motherly angle. So now Huey is with Starlight, and they're regrouping at the boys' HQ, and Huey finally, is finally just like having his moment where he's processing everything that's happened to him. Like, he's dealt with a lot of grief. This whole show started with him having his girlfriend basically be vaporized by A-Train running through the street, and now he's lost his father. He has regained his mother, but he's lost his father, like the person that was closest to him, and he just got like sexually assaulted, abused, and tortured, and he just tells Annie, like, I'm just not okay. And appreciate it, Keola.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, I don't blame him. It just all hits him at once, and he just starts bursting out crying. Tough scene, but Huey had to deal with a lot. And then we get to the final scene in this episode. And Damon, you called your shot during our last episode stream where you said your theory is that Kessler isn't real. And it turns out that he is not real, because as he's having his visions of Kessler, or as he's talking to Kessler, and he's basically saying like, or actually, here's what happens, right? Samir says that he can't make the virus again, because if he were to make the virus, it would be airborne. It would basically be like fucking COVID or anything like that, where it would just spread really easily, and that would kill essentially every soup in the world, or make it very easy to kill every soup in the world. And he doesn't want to kill Zoe and Newman, and Victoria. So he doesn't want to make the virus. That's the reason why he doesn't want to make the virus. that makes Butcher pause a bit because he's thinking, well, I don't want to kill Ryan and stuff like that. And the only reason like the virus would have to be that contagious is like that's the only way it's powerful enough to kill Homelander. So the current iteration of the virus where it's spread through fluids, it wouldn't do anything against Homelander. The only way to make it powerful enough to kill Homelander is to also make it way more contagious. So now Butcher is kind of holding back because he has friends that are soups. Like Kimiko is an ally, Starlight is an ally. So he's now thinking about the people that he cares about or cares about as much as he can, and he doesn't want them to die. And as this is happening, he's having conversations with Kessler. Kessler's like, yo, man, you got to do this. And all throughout these conversations, out of nowhere, he then sees Becca. And now, throughout this entire time, he's only talked to Becca and Kessler separately. So all of a sudden, when he sees them both together, he realizes, holy shit, he must be fucking hallucinating this entire time. And that's where your theory comes true, Damon. We find out that the real Kessler died in the fucking Panjir Valley, in the Middle East, wherever they fought. And all of this was happening with Butcher just basically talking to an imaginary friend. He poured the fucking whiskey on the table. He met up with no one. And when he cut off Samir's leg, he was talking to nobody. So Samir was just watching him talk to fucking himself. And it must have just been a very, very terrifying thing for Samir to go through. And the episode ends with that, with him realizing like, wait, the brutal acts that he's carried out were not because Kessler made him do it. It's because that's another part of him that ended up doing it. So that's how the episode ends. Thoughts on those scenes?
The daddy's home line that Kessler gives hits just the wrong way for Butcher at that moment. It is good writing because if you recall a little while ago, Kessler was even downplaying the soups that Butcher was aligned with Kimiko and Starlight. And now all of a sudden it turns out a Homelander virus could mutate due to its strength and is going to be unstable and might kill all the soups. So it's almost like Kessler's been priming Butcher for the kind of brutality it's going to take to make this virus happen for Homelander. We're really looking at genocide from two angles now. Homelander and Sage's scheme is, you mentioned Nazi Germany, like Holocaust vibes for sure. This in itself is chemical warfare that's going to hurt innocent people, including Ryan, the one person that Becca's been trying to get him to save the whole time. So we are at a huge impasse here. Both Butcher and Homelander look like they're even closer to cracking than they were, as if that wasn't the case already. I have faith in Butcher to choose Becca over Kessler. The only caveat is I think Kessler might have a little more control than Becca, just based on the way we've seen Butcher interacting with both of them recently. So hopefully he can fight the good fight there. We're also in an uncertain spot, right? You got Huey and Starlight who are reeling from their respective things that went down. Huey is going through severe trauma from like all the shit that he went down in Tech Knight's dungeon. Kind of a weird scene, not my favorite scene in The Boys so far, but they like their shock value. We definitely had that go down there. His dad died, all that. MM is a question mark. He's going through panic attacks. Frenchie is in jail and so like which we can connect to some other stuff in a minute here. Starlight's powers are even growing more uncertain by the episode. So what is she really capable of now? Is she going to be able to help out like she did with Soldier Boy last season? The interesting angle here about Frenchie being in jail is that it is one of Tech Knight's prisons, because Tech Knight's real name is like something Vernon, and it's a Vernon correctional facility. So maybe that's what they're going at with his arc, which is kind of cool. And then of course Kimiko is like kind of like a lost puppy, just looking for someone to like communicate with and to see Frenchie again, but she's hung out to dry a little bit. So this, I think, is the narrative low point for the good guys, which is good because that means we're going to get a bit of a comeback here, but things are looking bleak. We're down by probably a few touchdowns at this point.
Do you know how many episodes are in this season?
I think is it an 8-episode season?
I'm trying to look this up.
Season 4.
If anyone in the chat knows how many episodes are supposed to be in this season, let us know. Because then we can kind of gauge how much more.
Looks like 8.
8? Okay, so we had 2 more episodes left. Yeah, I mean, this probably should be the low point. I don't know if they're going to do a season 5. They're making so much money off this show, and they still got the Gen V spinoffs but like at some point, people have to die at this point, right? So we need A-Train's got to die. to make the plot matter a bit more. And then Frenchie's got to die.
Frenchie, he could also lead like some kind of a mission inside of Tech Knight's prison to like bring it down for, I don't know.
Yeah,
There
that
could
would
be
actually
something
be
like
interesting.
that, right?
Yeah,
Right?
that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I guess now where we leave this episode is, like you said, Butcher's got to make a choice because it seems like the only way. Okay, season 5 is meant to be the final season. Chaos just dropped that in the chat. So if that's the case, I'm trying to see like how would this end where you then have a season 5? Because you can't kill Homelander in this season, right?
No, you absolutely cannot kill. Homelander needs to last well into when the show wraps. In my opinion,
Right.
who knows what they're actually going to do to wrap this season. I think what you have to do is we have to figure out if the virus is a thing or not. Is Butcher going to do the virus? The election results and everything should come pretty quickly, or not the results, but like the inauguration and everything like that. Maybe it ends with the inauguration date, and they're trying to like prevent. If you look at the title here, what did it say? I think the title of the final episode is like something dealing with an assassination. So maybe they're trying to save Singer from what goes down on inauguration day.
Yeah. And then maybe they don't save him, and then season 5 is like Newman has now taken over. Homelander's still at large. That alliance is probably going to be shaky at best, right? And then there are going to be members of the boys that dies, right? In that, probably several members are going to die in that attempt to save Singer, probably unsuccessfully. And then Butcher's probably going to die this season, right?
It feels like we're getting there. And then when he dies, like what is Kessler? Like what does Kessler become? Is he now also gone? Or is he going to be strong enough to like what's going to happen with those tentacles that we saw come out of the rabbit, but they're butcher sized?
Yeah. All right, yeah. Pretty interesting. We had a decent amount of viewers on this one. Appreciate everyone for
Absolutely.
watching this. This was a lot of fun. We'll be back with 6, or no, we just did 6, but we'll be back with 7 and 8. But Damon, any final thoughts?
It's been kind of an uneven season from like a writing perspective and what's going down, but I do like how a lot of the characters they're starting to feel more human to me than they did at the start of the season. Like the way that things are going down, the way that events are transpiring. Like, I think we're good. The emotional part of the season has been fulfilled in my mind, and now I think we're going to get to some pretty severe action because I think we're due for a couple of those.
Yeah. All right. We'll be back with episode 7. Also, quick plug, if you guys are watching House of the Dragon, we just dropped our episode 3 recap today, and then we're going to get episode 4 tonight. Definitely hop on that show if you haven't yet. If you're not like I was talking to some people, they're like, "Oh, Game of Thrones didn't end that well, so I don't want to watch House of the Dragon." Yeah, don't be.
This is different.
This is different. Don't be a fucking fool. Watch House of the Dragon. Watch our recaps, but more importantly, fuck our recaps. Go watch House of the Dragon. Just watch that show. This episode that's going to drop tonight is going to be so fucking good. Damon, I'm so pumped. I cannot wait to get off my flight in Chicago. I'm fucking going right to that stupid Holiday Inn. That was the only hotel in that area.
Use that free Wi-Fi.
Free Wi-Fi, and I'm ripping the battle. What is it? The Battle of Rook's Rest at Rook's Rest. So yeah, appreciate everyone for watching. We will catch y'all later.
Later.